This is the Spurs POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the San Antonio Spurs. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, as we know, it's the season of giving, and perhaps the biggest day of giving that you'll have in the entire calendar. The Spurs are in the plenty giving mood, as they've been the entire week, because for the second time in 3 days, they give out another considerable beating to the Oklahoma City Thunder today in their gym. Welcome into the Spurs POSTCAST right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the #1 sports podcast network in the world. He, of course, is NBA champion Devin Brown. I'm KC Viera. San Antonio 117-102 winners tonight. And they do it in a game which they beat the brakes off OKC in the fourth quarter the other day. We think we were kind of waiting for the counterpunch tonight from the Thunder. And for the most part, it never really arrived. And the Spurs win their 8th in a row and their 3rd consecutive game against their rivals, Devin.
Let me tell you something. First of all, Merry Christmas, everybody. And we're going to get down to business here in a second. You know, I thought when I had my barbacoa tamales about an hour ago, I thought that was going to be the best thing that I saw today. Nope. Wrong, Casey. Wrong. San Antonio, hey, we got to talk about this one. Let's talk about it, Casey.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, so the Thunder got off to a strong start, hit their first few shots, had a 9-point lead in the first quarter, but the Spurs level out the math and ultimately put up 41 in the first quarter, lead 41-36 after 1 quarter of play. They win the first, they win the second, go up by 9 at the break. De'Aaron Fox had 21 points in the first half. They shoot 60% from the field, got out in the break, 15 fast break points. Victor off the bench again today. He had 9 and 6 in the first 12 minutes, or in his 12 minutes in the first half. So the Spurs up by 9 at half in a game, as the numbers would indicate. They're playing faster, they're playing more physical. Third quarter, it translates even more, because these third quarters, the ugly ones, are starting to look like more of a thing of the past. They go up by 17 in the frame, and it's really spearheaded by a lot of physicality, the closeouts, the dunks, the putback dunks, the 50-50 balls. And you were waiting for Oklahoma City to give that counter punch because you respect who they are, and that's the reigning champions and a team that's only lost a handful of times this season. But ultimately, they go to the fourth quarter, the Spurs do, up 95-79. Then that spurt kind of comes, though. They get it into 2 or so couple waves. They get it down to 9 on a 9-2 spurt around Oklahoma City does, with just inside 10 minutes left. But the Spurs, Victor hits a 3. Stephon Castle, a couple free throws, making Harrison Barnes. They go back up by 14. And ultimately, one counter punch after another down the stretch. And we've just been kind of waiting for a moment in which Oklahoma City we were to get up off the mat and fight at the end. And for the 2nd consecutive game, that's not the case. Spurs shut the door. They win by 15. Fox finishes with 29, 19 and 11 for Victor in 26 minutes. Castle with 19 and 7 himself. They shoot 54% from the field, 39 from 3. And we're having this conversation again. And every single time it seems like we're having it, we're just wondering, how high is the bar? How far are they going to go here? And the answer right now, it appears that nothing's in their way. And above all else, the best team, at least record-wise in basketball, the Spurs are in their heads.
Right. So let's talk about what the locker room looks like before the game. As soon as you touch down in OKC, you know who you're going to be going against. The Spurs know that. Just beat them a couple nights ago, but now you go to their place, right? Well, first quarter, we want to get off to a good start. San Antonio was able to do that. De'Aaron Fox, 13 in that first quarter. That was just part of his big game. Here's the second thing. We know that OKC is going to make an adjustment to what it was that they faced here in San Antonio. And I thought OKC did a great job of attacking inside. No matter if Wemby was in the game or out of the game, you saw a lot of guys like Caruso and J-Dub, SGA, challenging Victor at the rim. Mm-hmm. Well, here's my thing, Casey, and this is what I see when I'm watching some of this. If OKC thinks that they're gonna live with Caruso or Carso, whatever his name is, guarding Wemby, I almost hit the TV about 3 or 4 times. You got to be joking, Casey. What is OKC doing? What are they doing?
I think the book was kind of out with Victor, the idea of putting 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" guys on him. Excuse me. And the
6'5", so he's really 6'2".
Well, yeah, I need a drink of water. Hold on 1 second. Finish your thought.
Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. OKC, when you talk about them defensively, they're used to being able just to do whatever. And OKC's formula, obviously, you give them credit. They won a title last year. Let me tell you what they didn't get tonight. Oh, Alex Caruso 0-7 in that first half from 3.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and he had some wide open looks. Casey Wallace didn't shoot it as well. Okay, SGA, J-Dub, they do a great job of getting their role players involved. And to the Spurs deal, they were doing a great job of closing out to those threes, late contesting some of those threes, and those guys weren't knocking shots down, which was able to have the Spurs get that 10-point lead. And this is what I'm starting to see, Casey, with San Antonio is that tonight Fox has 29, right? And he had 6 in the first time against them. So like I've said before on plenty of shows, you're going to get this thing from just about anywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as long as you have 3 guys other than Wemby that are playing well, and Wemby can stay in that range between, I don't know what do you want him to be in, with him coming off the bench. He's really,
Right.
That's 19 points off the bench. I mean, I don't know if the Spurs are going for some kind of bench reward. They're probably going to get it, but you have Victor, leading that second team, and then you have, like look at Vassal tonight. He had 5 points, but he was big defensively. That's what makes him so good, and that's what makes the Spurs team good. Because tonight, I mean, you have Fox and Castle leading the way. So Casey, it was just tremendous, a tremendous gift for the city of San Antonio.
Yeah, no, the point I was going to make there was that it seems like the book was kind of out in a little bit, that a way to get to Victor, unless you have somebody who matches up at like 6'9", 6'10", to get by with it, is to get a bunch of stocky 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" guys and cycle through them to hit Victor in the midsection and make his life uncomfortable. But that's obviously easier said than done. And they've tried the Caruso thing a couple times, and think by the time that they try this again, when they meet again in a few, down the road, it's going to be a pivot off of the Caruso thing, because it seems like Wemby has that figured out, the Caruso aspect.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But Casey, the young man that I thought they'd get a good job with him, we saw him, and I don't know if it's Williams or whoever he is for OKC.
Yeah, Williams.
I thought he did an outstanding job on Wemby.
Yeah.
OKC, maybe might look into him getting a few more minutes because he can also shoot. He made a couple of threes out there.
Right.
So I don't know but OKC. Now they got to look in the mirrors and figure out what they're going to do with San Antonio. And that's the thing that you love about San Antonio, is that they are so deep with this roster. But man, it was just impressive, Casey. Very impressive.
We're talking about the counter punches, them having all the answers, them hitting the right buttons in that fourth quarter. I mentioned the one moment where they had a 9-2 spurt,
right,
and the Spurs fought back and pushed it back up to 14. The Thunder did have one more moment, though, inside 5 minutes, about a 4.5-minute mark, and what was really the final blow, if you will, that shut the door tonight for the Spurs.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
Because, again, you're being respectful of who the Thunder are, and you know that flurry's coming. So they get it down to about 10 with 4 and change to go, 4.5. Errant pass by Aaron Fox, J-Dub on the steal, gets out in the break. Can't finish on the lay-in. Would have cut it to 8. That OKC crowd, that they can get going just like that. They see a couple buckets, and it's credit to De'Aaron Fox getting back, contest on the shot. Spurs come back, score, ultimately get another stop, put the game away, et cetera, et cetera. But it's things like that. You love a play like that, and it was kind of a microcosm of what this game really was for them. Because and going back to really 5 quarters now, what it was, they've beaten the Thunder up, plain and simple. They've beaten the Thunder up. You look at how the Spurs are winning these games. They're winning these games with strong closeouts. They're winning games, strong rotations from the weak side on the double team to get in on SGA to the free throw line extended to the elbows, making his life miserable out of the double teams, the box out, the putback dunks, Keldon Johnson making a play like that, just that loud 2-point stuff matters, the 50-50 balls. And you can see that, in my opinion, this stuff that we're seeing, that we've seen all against Oklahoma City, in my opinion, was a byproduct of what they were lacking in that Knicks game. Because when they lost that cup championship to the Knicks, all those things are the reason why the Spurs lost. And so you want to talk about learning, getting a wake-up call from something, taking positives from every single game for wins, for loss. I can't look at how this game ended today and not think of that, because they fought these dudes. They beat these dudes up in the fourth quarter, and that's what's been the difference. And they look great. And that's why they've won 8 in a row now.
Yeah, the last couple of games, going back to that Knicks game, the fourth quarter collapse, the last 2 games have been completely different. To that turning point, I believe it was Fox that turned it over, and to get back like that from, we all know who De'Aaron is, where he stacks up as far as the roster goes on this team, and to get back and get into that play tells me that the things that he's listening to in that locker room, some of the stuff that he's been hearing off the court, is starting to get to him. And let me tell you something. Really, ever since he's been back from the injury, he's been in the high 20s a ton. I know he was off of the other night, but for him to have a game like this in OKC on national television like that and make plays like that, he's starting to make a lot of winning plays. And what's going to happen is he's going to get a lot more credit here in San Antonio than he ever did in Sacramento. So as far as that turning point, Casey, that was a huge, huge turning point tonight.
All right, well, coming up on the other side of the break, the Spurs are in Oklahoma City's heads. It's apparent. It looks that way. It's played out like that. How do they continue to take advantage of that mindset? And then kind of on the other side, on the Oklahoma City side of things, how do they kind of get this bug that are the Spurs off their shoulder? And what does this mean the rest of the way going forward? Because San Antonio continues to show why they're not afraid, at the bare minimum, not afraid of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Got that and a little bit more here on this Christmas edition of the Spurs Postcast right here on Locked On Spurs. Before we get into that, though, I want to talk to you about a couple of our friends that help drive this program. Going to be probably a happy Christmas Thursday for you if you had any part in Prize Picks tonight, as always, in part sponsor this evening. The holiday season, as we know, one of the best times for sports, bowl games, big-time playoff matchups in the NFL, big-time basketball matchups like you saw today. We're all making those choices every day, and one of the most fun places you do that is when you make the right call with Prize Picks. A lot to like about it, but me, I like to play things safe. An example, they got this early payout feature. It's a great bonus when your lineup starts going strong. You may get the option to cash out early. I've had a good week in fantasy football so far, so and it's kind of translated to the Prize Pick side of things, so I'm kind of leaning that direction. We'll see. It's the easiest way to get in on the daily fantasy. Pick more or less at least 2-player projections, and of course, above all else, it's simple, it's fast, it's easy, and they have it in 45 states. Download the app today with Prize Picks and prizepicks.com. You see it on your screen. Use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first 5. All right, as we know, it's Christmas Day, and wherever you may be, your in-laws, where it is, you're not cooking. You might not be a fan of their cooking, whatever it is. DoorDash, that might be the way you go tonight, because they got a way to keep the fans in their bag all season long. Whether you're watching the highlights, tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, it makes the entire season more fun with DoorDash, because every player's got their bag. And with them, with DoorDash, fans have one too. Keep your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, your watch party vibes absolutely on point. I know they are today. From tip-off to OT, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash with all those things delivered right to your door in your bag all season long. 117 to 102 is what the final scoreboard reads tonight out there in Oklahoma City as the Spurs move to 23-7, 8th consecutive victory, moving away confidently in that 2 spot. Yep, we're not getting ahead of ourselves. It is only Christmas, but maybe moving away is a little too strong, but playing confidently in that number 2 seed in the Western Conference, and plenty of reason to continue to feel that way going forward. They look like a team that, and you see it more so, like we were saying, the other side of the break, so much of this is when you beat a team that's better than you, at least reigning champ. You have to give them respect what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is mental. And if you can just overcome that mental side of it and get in their heads and mess with their mentals, you have such a big hurdle out of the way. And this is 3 consecutive times now that we've seen it. And all indications would show that that's what the Spurs are doing.
Right.
So how do they keep that going? How do they stay in their heads? And when the time comes, potentially in the postseason, when does that become really a difference maker in a 7-game series?
Well, it's a big step going into OKC and beating them plus 10. I mean, that's what you live for. As a player, that's what you live for. They're the champs. We're going to go in there and we're going to beat them plus 10. Man, that's excellent. Now, when you talk about some of the little things that the Spurs are starting to do that are going a long way, which is as far as, where this team wants to go as far as this year, the points in the paint have been a lot better, Casey. Okay. Victor, right there in the second quarter, there was a little bit of a skirmish there. And obviously it involved Chet and Victor. So Chet goes to the line, misses the first free throw short. Victor said something. Now, he can say he wasn't saying it to Chet. We all get that. I believe that. But he yelled something. All right, I have to go back and watch the footage of what it is. Let me tell you something. They're starting to make, and he might have already been mad, but OKC struck a nerve with Victor coming into this year. And I'm telling you, he was sitting there watching all this that went on last year, and a lot of players do. And all these, interviews they're doing with 30 of them out there and this and that. Victor is not one, and he did not want to see that happening tonight or the last couple of times they played them. So if you can continue to have the rest of Victor's teammates match what it is that he's bringing, and Mitch, he's starting to look like more of a genius because you got so many guys playing at a high level. And then you have Victor coming off the bench who just comes out there and gives you 20. It's starting to look like a formula, Casey, that's going to, make for a long run, playoff run.
Is there something to, as a player, where you can kind of sense this when you're playing against a team that last year, Oklahoma City, for the most part, it never really felt like they weren't the favorite. Like they got knocked down on the mat. The Pacers gave them hell in the finals. Right. But it never really, you know what I mean? It never really felt like OKC was getting off the mat last season. And for the most part, that was the case this season. All they heard was, we're going to make a push for 70 plus wins, greatest record of all time.
Yeah.
And have been essentially the front runners the entire way, at least the perspective. Do you think there's kind of an element that OKC hasn't been tested in this sense, and that the Spurs can kind of sense the blood in the water, and that kind of is the driving force factor behind the "we're not afraid of you"?
Well, it kind of goes back to the NBA Cup game when San Antonio surprised them. All right. And so then being able to come into San Antonio, remember when San Antonio had that 2-game kind of like a little mini series with Golden State, we were saying the same thing about them. Well, OKC, after that loss, they're saying the same thing on the other side. Let's go get one there and then we'll destroy them on Christmas. Well, Casey, the opposite's happened. All right. When I see guys like Keldon, De'Aaron Fox, he'll show emotion like when he thinks he's fouled. So he's not really doing it towards the other team.
Right.
Keldon, Wemby, those guys are directing that at the opponent. Okay. And I'll tell you what, one thing that I love about Keldon is he's not going to back down from anybody anytime. Right. And so, I think, his fire, the fire that he's playing with, it just takes over this basketball team because he is one of the leaders. He's the longest Spur that's been here. So, you can see where, and my point is this, Casey, when these guys are walking into OKC now, Wemby, Keldon, and the rest of them, they're not worried about it. Like I was worried about it before the game. They're not worried about it at all. And I'll tell you what, it showed tonight. I mean, that was a very impressive game for 4 quarters. For 4 quarters.
It never felt like the game was in doubt. And
right.
I never thought I would say that when the Oklahoma City Thunder are on the other side of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But after that opening stretch where they looked strong, the Thunder, and the Spurs went in control, and they put up 41 in the first. I don't want to say it felt like they were going to win the game. That's way too, that'd be suggesting way too much.
Mm-hmm.
But you just knew that this game was going to be one that the Spurs were going to beat the heck out of them. And you saw it. You referenced that Wemby Chet sequence there where he was yelling. That's the second time that you saw it. I think it was the first cup game where Chet misses the free throws and Wemby's over there pounded his chest. But the thing is that was in the fourth quarter. This was 2 minutes into the second quarter.
This is 2 minutes. Hey, listen. Hey, Casey, and Chet almost airballed the second free throw.
I know.
So you can't tell me it's not wearing on him.
That's exactly my point. And I feel like and maybe it's a bad example because Wemby is the far better talent than Chet Holmgren. But I'm not saying anything we don't already know on that front.
Right.
But I feel like if the Spurs have so many ways to just so many irritants, so many little things that if you haven't been hit by that before, like the Thunder haven't been hit by like that before the past couple of years, it's a mental thing.
Mm-hmm.
And just when you're having that for 48 minutes, more than 48 minutes, essentially 5 quarters and 3 games now, it's hard not to feel like this team's on notice. And collectively as a whole, I think what was your wording before we started here? Deep waters the Spurs are in?
Deep water. Yeah, deep water.
Got a couple minutes. Explain that a little bit more because I thought that was a good analogy.
Okay, so what it is San Antonio, now they're starting to pass all these tests that we're throwing at them, right? So now they're starting to get out there into where that championship water is what I mean, Casey. And I don't want people talking about, it's too early and this and that. Well, listen, I'll be the first one to tell you it's too early. But what I'm saying is some of these situations that they're going to be playing in, like you said, fourth quarter, they're starting to get very comfortable in these situations. And I'm just saying, you get comfortable too much, it ends up in a 05 championship. Oh, did I go there? I went there. Who's on that team? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, Casey. I'm getting sidetracked.
I was gonna say might be our time to step aside and start.
I think so.
I think it's time. We're getting a little hungry. Let's talk about our player of the game.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
In a figurative sense, I guess you could say De'Aaron Fox ate tonight on the topic of food.
Hey, De'Aaron, congratulations. Bounce back game for him. 6 points in that first one, 29 big ones in this one. He looked good. Started off with 13 in that first quarter. Casey, he had it going early, had it going often. Congratulations to him, and Merry Christmas to him and his family and all the other Spurs families. Merry Christmas, everybody.
And Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
Merry
Christmas to you. It's been a pleasure doing this through the first 30 games from now, but through this point by now. And I've enjoyed it, and having to do it again on a Christmas day with you, taking the time to do it. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, we've enjoyed it a lot. We've also enjoyed having you guys around. Of course, you're the everydayers who make this thing fun. And checking out even in with us on the holidays. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. I appreciate that. To quote the man Jay-Z, I think that's a good place to call it a Christmas Eve, call it a Christmas night. So for my dear friend, Mr. NBA champion Devin Brown, I'm Casey Viera. The Spurs are 23-7, have beaten the Oklahoma City Thunder 3 times, and firmly are showing that they belong. Enjoy the rest of your Christmas night.